मैंने देखी थी फिल्म्स लाइक द सोशल नेटवर्क. अब आप मार्क ज़करबर्ग की कहानी देखोगे तो आपका मन करेगा मैं 6 महीने में बिलियनर बन जाऊँ या सक्सेसफुल हो जाऊँ. बट इंडियन एंटरप्रेन्योरियल इकोसिस्टम में बहुत कम एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के साथ इतना फास्ट सक्सेस आता है. तो आई वाज मोर ऑफ अ जनरल स्टोरी, और क्योंकि मेरा जनरल स्टोरी का कोई एक्सपोजर ही नहीं था, आई फेल्ट एज इफ आई एम अ फेलियर ऑलरेडी.
Hi everyone, today in this brand new episode of Better Tomorrow, we have had a conversation with Aditya Bose, who is a very young edtech entrepreneur. So anybody who's looking forward to become an entrepreneur and comes from a background where your parents are not supportive of you, this is the episode that you should be watching. And of course, अगर career counseling में आगे अपना career बनाना है and you want to figure out whether career counseling is really important or not, this is again the episode that you should be watching. By the end, we had a lot of fun while having a rapid fire round. Stay tuned and do not forget to hit the like button. And of course, I want to mention that we have a specific community where you can ask anything around your career related problems, or even if you have a mental block related to not able to speak with your parents around your career related queries or anything of that sort. And the link is also given in the comment box. Please do and visit the community. Hi Aditya, welcome to this episode of Better Tomorrow, a podcast that we have started specifically for students, and we really want them to give an insight around every industry. So tell me what's up, how's life?
Thank you so much, Sukriti, for inviting me first of all to this amazing podcast. Really looking forward to how it comes out. And yeah, life has been really good. Working hard on a few things. Yeah, mostly that as of now, but it's been going good.
So Aditya, when you first spoke about your passion of becoming an entrepreneur to your parents, what was their reaction? Was it positive?
With my mom, it was really positive. So usually she's a very positive person. You tell her anything, she'll find out some positivity in it, and she'll keep propagating that to herself also and me also. And anyone in our family for that matter. My father wasn't so happy about it. So I'd gotten this job at PwC, which is a consulting company and a big four in terms of auditing.
Of course.
So, and he had asked his seniors about that company, and they had told him something out of which he selectively listened to the part where he's like, it's the biggest, one of the biggest 4 companies in the world, which it is not. It's just in auditing, right? So he even further exaggerated it, and then he's like, take up the job. It was paying decent. The location was Kolkata, so it was not much, I would say, expensive as a city. But yeah, he did not like it when I thought that, I immediately want to jump into entrepreneurship and become a business person. It did continue till like 3-4 years. He was not satisfied. I think over time, when I started taking a decent salary for myself, which was almost equal to what I was earning in my first job or what I was supposed to earn in my first job, that's when he became slightly assured. And then, of course, as time went on, now he's much more assured than he was.
Of course. So, since you come from a middle class background, a typical middle class family, you had a job in your hand, and then you decided that you want to get into the field of entrepreneurship. The initial years where probably you were not earning anything, you were just trying to set up your business or whatever your calling was back then. What was that time's reaction of your father? As you mentioned that mom always had that silver lining that this is going to work out somehow. So having that middle class setup, having a job in hand, still not opting for it, and then going for something which is going to invest a lot of money, the seed capital that we call. How all of this got managed in those initial years?
So from my end or from
Yes.
my...
Both of them.
Both of them. So I'll tell you from my end first. So by third year, I think I had decided that I'll probably... So I won't say I had completely decided, but I had like 80-90% decided that I'll probably start up my own thing after college full time. But I still sat for placements. That means I was not entirely sure, right? And I also wanted to calm my father down because my mom was already pretty calm.
Coming from an Indian family background, yeah.
In terms of that, okay, at least for the next year, I can focus entirely on my startup in college. So my strategy was that I'll sit for the placements from the beginning and I'll get the placement the soonest I can. The first company came, I did not even qualify till the interview round. The second company
What was that
came,
company, if I may ask?
ZS Associates.
Okay.
So I failed the aptitude test only. Then PwC came, I got selected. After that, Microsoft came. I had to sit for it because of some college thing, and somehow even got to that interview round. Okay. So I also discovered that even though I was not the best engineer in the world, if I would have prepared decently well, I think I would have at least earned a decent amount in engineering. So that was a bit motivating, I would say. But yeah, eventually when I got placed, I think that 1 year I could easily work on my startup. After that, again, I told my family, again, my father got a little pissed at me that why is he doing this? Why is he being so stupid? And I can understand. He was at that time, it made more logical and mathematical sense. If you look at probability, 9 out of 10 startups don't work out. So, and that too for a 22-year-old kid to start up something in an area where he hasn't done any academic qualification is even
Plus,
harder.
you had a job in hand.
Plus, I had a job in hand. And when I understood that this whole thing is going to happen, in my 4th year only, I started working 2 part-time jobs. One was teaching home tuition, and the other one was writing technical essays or research papers for US and UK kids who did not do their homework in college.
The SOP that we call.
It can be an SOP also, it can be random stuff. Like, let's say a literature student has to write a paper on a Shakespeare poem. That's his homework. He doesn't want to do it. He puts it up on this website online, and whoever writes it gets paid like $2 per page. So you have to pitch for that project. If that guy selects you, then you start writing
All right.
that paper. So at that time, dollar was like 60 rupees or something. So it was good. I earned a decent amount through that. The issue with me was I also spent quite a lot of that amount.
Okay.
So by the end of college, as far as I remember, I had some 30,000 rupees with me. So I shifted to Bangalore, which was a stupid decision, because when you have a home in Delhi, why to shift to a city which, of course, my elder brother was
And plus,
there.
it's an expensive one.
It's an expensive city. So I don't know, I had just something in mind that it's the Silicon Valley of India. Maybe startups work out better there. And one more thing I'll honestly share with you, that I felt as if, if you start up from a city where you are based out of, people will think. So I had this fear of what will people think, which is the worst fear to have. But I think,
Char log kya kahenge?
चार लोग क्या कहेंगे? Some people always have that fear, and I was one of them. So मुझे क्या लगा कि if I go to some schools and people there know me, right? At least in my area they know me. So if I go to some schools and pitch for career counseling, and if the kids see me as a career counselor, they'll go home and they'll tell their parents कि मम्मी ये तो career counselor बन गया है, ये तो ये सब स्कूल में पढ़ा रहा है, तो लगता है इसकी नौकरी नहीं लगी. Some thing will get propagated.
I think
and
that's
it will.
very common because trying new things is not something which is very easily accepted by such kind of an Indian society. So I think that's a very okay to have apprehension back then.
Yeah. I come from a society. I'll tell you what we used to do as a society. It's very true that whenever a student's 10th class, 12th class board marks came out, so let's say your board result has just come out, I ask you, Sukriti, how much have you scored? Let's say you say 85%. Ek to people lied a lot. I don't know why. So if you say 85%...
Nobody wants to feel shallow. I'm sure that's the whole reason. Yeah. Okay.
So you probably have scored 75%. Now with this hunch, there are people who would go to that school, and every school would have this merit list out. And they would then search for your name, Sukriti किधर है? अच्छा अरे इसके तो 75% आए, झूठ बोल रही थी. तो एक तो आपने भी झूठ बोला और उनका भी अजीब पना देखो कि वो जाके देख रहे हैं. तो हमारे, और बाय द वे आई आल्सो पार्टिसिपेटेड इन इट. मैं ऐसा भी नहीं बोलूंगा कि मैं नहीं था. ऑफ कोर्स आई वाजंट वेरी बिग ऑन दिस, बट इट जस्ट फेल्ट फन कि चलो देखते इसके कितने हैं. वैसे भी काम धंधा क्या ही था बचपन में. तो बट हाँ, द एल्डर्स डूइंग इट वाज अ लिटिल फनी. And people used to do that, whether or not they accept.
Everybody wants to know who's that Sharma ji ka beta in the family. I believe that's the whole take.
Yeah. So I was a decent academic performer, right? So whenever my parents used to tell the other guys that, they have scored 95, 96%, nobody used to believe them at first shot. After a while, they started believing that, okay, these guys are probably genuinely academically good. So I think, I went, coming back to the story, because of this fear, I did not, I was not feeling very confident of starting in Delhi. So I went to Bangalore. I started off from there. So my strategy was also very action oriented. I hadn't really thought it through. So I had made some 2-3 courses in college, some animated videos, assessments around that, basic stuff where you can explore that career option. So I had made a course on entrepreneurship. I had made a course on automobile technology and one on law.
One on?
Law.
Law, okay.
See where destiny takes you.
All right.
So then I started pitching those courses to the schools. So I started sending them emails. Nobody responded. I started calling the receptionists. Either they won't pick up, or even if they would pick up, they would never let me reach the decision maker. They would be like, you mail us. If we like it, we'll get back to you. Nobody ever got back. And if I went to the schools directly, the guards would say that you don't have an appointment. You can come back when the email gets responded to. So I was caught in this vicious circle. 3 months gone. My money has ended. So like that, I had a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in the field. For good 2.5 years, I did not give myself any salary from my startup. For the first year, my startup's revenue was somewhere around 6 lakh rupees, which is not that great, but yeah, my team size was also really small. In the second year, imagine 1.5 lakh was the revenue of my startup. Revenue, not even profit.
Oh.
So I genuinely felt like quitting all throughout that year. Thankfully, I did not. Most of the good experiences that happened to me in my startup journey happened after 2019. So, and I learned a lot on the field. I think on 2018 and 2019, I learned a lot in the schools which I was providing counseling to. Most of them I used to provide counseling for free. Some of them were paid customers. So yeah, it was an on and off journey. And that time, coming back to the original question, you digressed.
No worries, that's fine. Yeah.
What did your parents think of it? So my father was absolutely not convinced. In fact, the fact that he kept on asking me this thing, that how's your startup doing? And by the way, his intention was not to make me quit or something. He was just worried. So yeah, if I quit, he would have been...
That's fine. Indian parents are... See, that's the whole difference between Americans and Indians, that in America, there's a culture that students separate from their parents at the age of 17 or 18. And that's very normal for them. But in India, it's not true. So because we still owe a lot to our parents, the education that we have taken, and a lot many other things as well. So in that case, having that concern was, I think, perfectly all right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very different culture. I till last year used to live with my parents, and I again plan to shift back with my parents. So I totally understand this is a very different culture. So I think he was genuinely worried. But that worry came across to me in a way. I also took it very negatively, I think. So I was like, he wants me to quit. And we used to keep having a lot of arguments in the first 3 years, especially during COVID when I stayed at home for like 9 months. We used to have a lot of arguments. I did not contribute to any household work during 2020 because I was 16 hours working on my startup. So I did not mop the floor, मैं झाड़ू नहीं लगाता था, पापा लगाते थे. तो बहुत उस चीज़ को लेकर झगड़ा हुआ है.
But I think that's fine. Students should understand that झगड़े होना are important. Because you work on, as you mentioned that you spend good 16 hours of your day in concentrating on your startup. So there's a balance, right? ऐसा भी नहीं है you're just sitting idle कि कुछ काम ही नहीं है types. So since you mentioned that you decided by the end of third year, if I'm not wrong, in your engineering days, I'm sure you decided at the end of the third year means you started thinking quite early, right?
Yeah.
Second year, first year maybe. How did you manage? I mean, there were subjects which were hardcore engineering related subjects, but your cup of tea was always business, entrepreneurship, numbers, all of that. So how were you able to maintain that balance, and did you pass all your examinations and semesters?
Thankfully, yes. Because I never had the, I would say, willingness to give an exam the second time. A lot of the kids used to do it in college. They'll receive the exam paper, they have not studied at all. Now they see the exam paper, they are short. Even if I pass, I'll get like 42 out of 100. So my CGPA won't look that good. I'll just barely pass. They used to cross out the whole paper and come out of the exam hall.
Okay.
I can never do that because मेरे को था मैं दोबारा वो एग्जाम तो नहीं दे सकता. प्लस वो 2000 या 1000 की जो भी एग्जाम फीस थी. More than the money, it was actually about giving that exam again. कि मैं नहीं बैठ सकता. So my whole thought process was कि अगर मैं कम भी तैयारी करके गया हूँ ना, मैं एड़ी चोटी का जोर लगा के पास कर जाऊंगा.
ठीक है.
So I did pass all my
even
exams.
If you were interested in business, this does not really affect your academic performance back in college.
Yeah, mostly no. But I think it was a time management challenge. I think most of the time management that I've learned, in fact, I would say I'm still not as good as I was back then. Us time pe I was going to classes from 8 to 5. वापस आता था, I used to hang out for an hour with my friends. Then I used to teach home tuition, come back and do those assignments for the technical writing. So yeah, that time actually I managed time really well. I hope I can get back to that someday.
So while you were preparing, thinking that okay, you want to go ahead and pursue the dream of becoming an entrepreneur, weren't you ever scared of words like stability, earning early in your college days? Because everybody does that. Like right out of college, most of the people get a package. It could be as low as let's say 4-5 lakh rupees or as great as let's say 1 CR, doesn't matter. Kuch to aa hi raha hai. So weren't you scared while you were doing all of this?
I wasn't scared before stepping into it. Before stepping into it, it seemed like a very rosy world. I also come from the back of a time which was very golden in terms of startup funding. So in 2014, I was in my second year of college. I had a funding offer back then on the basis of an idea.
Okay.
So it felt like funding is really easy. Even in my fourth year, I had some funding offers from Chinese investors. Those were not like very big offers. They were like 6-10 lakhs. And at that time, it did not feel like big offers. But eventually, I understood when I stepped into the startup field how big these offers really were. So when I stepped into it, as I told you, the revenues, right? So I had to live on very little means. ऐसा नहीं है कि अब जैसे कई बार ना ऐसा लग सकता है कि 1.5 लाख का रेवेन्यू था, यानी इसको पीछे से बहुत पैसा आ रहा था, पापा मम्मी दे रहे होंगे, कुछ नहीं दे रहे थे. देते अगर मैं मांगता, बट क्योंकि पापा से इतना बातचीत हो चुका था तो मांगने में थोड़ा ऐसे एक ईगो भी था और मांगने में थोड़ा सा शर्म भी थी कि अब अगर मैं पैसे मांगूंगा तो उनको लगेगा हाँ मेरी बात सही प्रूव हो गई,
करेक्ट.
विच आई वॉन्टेड कि नहीं मैं कुछ अच्छा प्रूव करके दिखा सकूँ, नॉट इन विनिंग ओवर द अदर सेंस बट इन द सेंस कि हाँ मैं सच में अपना करियर बनाना चाहता था.
You really wanted to stay to what you said. If you said that my dream of becoming an entrepreneur is something which I really want to go ahead, so that's what you wanted to prove, not that you wanted to prove your ego.
हाँ मतलब, और एक और चीज़ मैं सच में कमाना चाहता था, बिकॉज आई न्यू कि अगर मेरे को पेरेंट्स से मांगने की आदत लग गई ना, ये आदत चलती रहेगी.
Correct.
मतलब बहुत टाइम लग जाएगा, मतलब मेरे को और भी टाइम
हिम्मत
लग
चाहिए,
जाता.
which is what I feel by talking to you कि आजकल की जितनी यंग जनरेशन है, they want Gen Z that we call, the dream, but वो हिम्मत नहीं है ये बोलने की कि हाँ अगर पैसा नहीं आएगा तो भी मैं अपने दम पे कुछ करूंगा या करूंगी. That's what I think is more important.
And as you said, the peer pressure thing, right? It really does get to you because अच्छा मुझे ना चालू करने से पहले इतना सब सोचा नहीं था मैंने. आई एम मोर ऑफ एन एक्शन ओरिएंटेड पर्सन बाय नाउ, यू मस्ट हैव रियलाइज्ड कि मैं स्कूल में भी ऐसे ही चला गया कोर्स बेचने, मतलब कोई प्लान उतना मैं करता नहीं था चीज़ों को, विच ओवर टाइम आई हैव सफर्ड अ लॉट फॉर, एंड अब मैं सीख रहा हूँ धीरे धीरे. तो मैं जब स्टार्ट किया तो ऑफकोर्स 30,000 एंडेड विद इन अ मंथ. अब मैं भूखा रहने लग गया, एकदम पतला हो गया. एक तो भूखा रहने से वैसे ही आपका दिमाग खराब हो जाता है, ऊपर से आई यूज्ड टू वॉक अ लॉट बिकॉज पैसे खत्म होते हैं, सिर्फ खाने के खत्म नहीं होते, ट्रैवल के भी खत्म होते हैं. So I tell this at a lot of places where I'm invited to कि I used to wait for the most crowded bus going to my destination. चढ़ा, धक्का मुक्की करके पीछे चला गया, so that when the conductor asks me for a ticket, I'll act as if I have a pass. So I would say pass, as if I have a bus pass. And if somebody used to ask me कि दिखाओ bus pass, I used to act as if कि अरे कहाँ गया, मैं वॉलेट निकाल के सर्च करने की एक्टिंग कर रहा हूँ कि अरे मैं मतलब as if मैं लाया तो था लेकिन कहाँ गया. सो देन आई वुड हैव टू बाय द टिकट. कई बार तो मेरे को बेइज्जती करके उतार भी देते थे कि लेट्स से मुझे एक स्टॉप तक जाना है और मेरे पास वहां तक के 7 रुपए नहीं है, मेरे पास 5 रुपए है, तो 5 रुपए.
Okay, so you've seen that bad time where single digit money was also a problem.
हाँ, तो मेरे को उतार देते थे कि भाई आपके पास 5 ही रुपए, आप यहाँ उतर जाओ. और मेरा मोबाइल आधा टाइम बंद हो जाता था, तो पेटीएम कुछ नहीं चलता था. तो आई हैड उस टाइम पे, हाँ मैंने काफ़ी सो कॉल्ड स्ट्रगल, मतलब नॉट फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम बट थोड़ा टाइम के लिए देखा है. So I feel very lucky. I think entrepreneurship that way has taught me a lot. Peer pressure got to me because उस टाइम पे जब मैं ये सब फेस कर रहा था ना, so my friends had jobs and some of them had taken up the same job which I had not taken up. तो मैं WhatsApp status देखता था, Instagram पे उस टाइम उतना
good office life, for salary credited, all of that.
And when you join the company newly ना, they'll take you to some HR stuff, they'll take you to a resort and तो उनका वो सब status में देखता था, तो मुझे काफ़ी अजीब लगता था कि हाँ फोमो कि अरे मैंने तो बहुत बड़ी गलती कर दी लगता है, मे बी आई वॉज नॉट मेंट फॉर दिस. और एकदम से ना पेशेंस भी नहीं रख पाते हो, बिकॉज मैंने देखी थी फिल्म्स लाइक द सोशल नेटवर्क. अब आप मार्क ज़करबर्ग की कहानी देखोगे तो आपका मन करेगा मैं 6 महीने में बिलियनर बन जाऊँ या सक्सेसफुल हो जाऊँ. बट इंडियन एंटरप्रेन्योरियल इकोसिस्टम में बहुत कम एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के साथ इतना फास्ट सक्सेस आता है. तो आई वॉज मोर ऑफ अ जनरल स्टोरी, और क्योंकि मेरा जनरल स्टोरी का कोई एक्सपोजर ही नहीं था, आई फेल्ट एज इफ आई एम अ फेलियर ऑलरेडी. तो वो डील करने में काफ़ी टाइम लगता था, सो समटाइम्स व्हेन आई वाज डीलिंग विद दिस स्टफ, इवेंचुअली आई केम अक्रॉस दिस फिल्म कॉल्ड परसूट ऑफ हैप्पीनेस.
ओके,
उसमें बहुत
पर्सनल फेवरेट
है ना, उसमें बहुत हद तक मतलब जो सिचुएशन मैं अपने लिए बता रहा हूँ उससे लाइक 10x खराब सिचुएशन है. ये बंदा सड़क पे आ गया, प्लस उसका बेटा है, प्लस उसकी बीवी उससे नाराज है, वो सब चीज़ें. सो वो देखकर मेरे को काफ़ी हिम्मत मिलती थी. तो जब भी मैं बाय द सेकेंड ईयर ऑफ माई एंटरप्रेन्योरियल जर्नी व्हेन आई डिस्कवर्ड दिस फिल्म, जब भी मुझे कभी खराब लगता था ना, मैं वो फिल्म देख लेता था.
Nice.
मुझे थोड़ा अच्छा लगता
So
था.
according to you, कौन सा वो टाइम था when you got your first breakthrough in your journey of your entrepreneurship so far?
There were 2 instances I would say. First instance, मेरा 6ठा महीना चल रहा है स्टार्टअप का. I get this first paid school which gave me like 6,000 rupees for a session. तो वो मुझे काफ़ी अच्छा लगा कि अच्छा मुझे घंटे का भी 6,000 रुपये मिल सकता है.
Okay.
और जबकि इससे पहले मुझे बिल्कुल पैसा नहीं मिल रहा था. And then I got this break of immediately after a month. I got this break of 52 government schools from an NGO called Bharti Foundation, which is the CSR wing of Airtel. That is when I incorporated my business. So I would say that 1 month I got 2 quick breaks. Then I think 2019 again I saw a dip, as I told you. 2020 I received a seed funding. So that was my second break, I would say. 20 lakh rupees for 10% equity.
Oh, lovely.
हाँ, तो पहली बार मैंने एक नया लैपटॉप खरीदा, मैंने एक नया मोबाइल, फर्स्ट टाइम आई बॉट अ फर्स्ट हैंड मोबाइल जो आज तक मैं चला रहा हूँ.
Oh, that's why the phone is very special to you.
हाँ, मतलब वो मेरा पहला, उससे पहले मैं सेकंड हैंड ही खरीद रहा था सारे.
Okay.
3-4 हज़ार 2,000 के. ये वाला 17 का खरीदा था, तो मुझे वो बहुत सही लगा कि अरे so I made it probably. And I had full-time employees over, the number of which was more than 2 or 3. So वो भी मुझे काफ़ी liberating लगा कि now I have 8 full-time employees. Wow. So that way it was good.
So, of course, as a host, I did a lot of homework, and I know that you started your company by the name Pro Bano, which means professional Bano, in the year
Yes.
2017.
Yes.
So, what was the initial vision that you carried while you laid the first seed of it?
So in my first year of engineering, when I figured out that I'm not interested in computer programming, then so I wanted to apply to a lot of competitions to figure out what I want to do and to also become the best all-rounder in college. So there was this one business plan competition which I wanted to apply to, because of which I started asking my friends, because I had to come up with an idea to apply, right? So an idea is the solution to a problem. What's the problem that people face? So this is one problem that I was facing. Instinctively, it came to me that I started asking my friends, what is your reason behind joining mechanical,
Engineering.
civil, different branches of engineering? So they started telling me stories which had nothing to do with the branch itself. All of their stories were revolving around how they had aspirations to earn more money, to lead a better financial life, and all of them came from really humble backgrounds. So I understood indirectly that nobody knows much about engineering as a career option. Nobody has even considered other career options or even did some research about engineering as a career. They just come here because somebody has told them that it's a
One
really
of the
good,
safest options.
safest options, and a really good financial ticket to stability. So that way, I think I applied with this idea that if we had career counseling during our childhood, then we would definitely make better decisions, and we would have been at places where we were really interested to study. Now, I lost that competition. My first idea was that I'll create a brick and mortar school, like a proper eat patthar ka school, and I'll name it Bharatiya Prashikshan Vidyalaya, lack of creativity, Indian training school, right? So that was the Hindi for it. So I thought, ऐसा मैं कुछ बनाऊंगा. Of course, I lost that competition, but अच्छा, I'm a very sore loser in life. तो कई बार ना ऐसा भी होता है कि आपको instinctively पता चल जाता है कोई career मेरे लिए better है. तो मैं सोल लूजर कैसा हूँ, लाइक इफ यू एवर कम टू माई होम, यू विल ऑलवेज हियर दिस स्टोरी अबाउट कि मैं थर्ड क्लास में कोई पेंटिंग कॉम्पिटिशन हार गया था और मैं जजेस को चीटर कुछ बोलने लग गया था. मैं इनका प्रॉब्ली स्टेज पे जाकर मार भी देता अगर वो मेरे को रोकते नहीं. मैं ऐसा थॉट प्रोसेस था मेरा. तो मतलब आउट ऑफ एम्बेरसमेंट मेरे मुंह पे हाथ रखते हो मेरे को घर ले गए मेरे भैया और मेरी मॉम. सो दे विल टेल यू द स्टोरी व्हेन एवर यू कम टू माई होम, राइट? तो इतना सोल लूजर आई एम नोन टू बी. यहाँ पे मैं हारा, मेरे को बुरा ही नहीं लगा. आई वाज लाइक, हाँ, ये जो बोल रहा है आई कैन इम्प्रूव. ये फीलिंग ही मुझे बड़ी नहीं लगी. अच्छा, आई कैन इम्प्रूव. मैं ऐसा सोचता हूँ क्या? मैं तो हमेशा बोलता हूँ मेरी किस्मत खराब है, जजेस बेवकूफ है, सबकी गलतियां मेरी नहीं है.
Okay.
सो इंस्टिंक्टिवली भी मुझे लगने लग गया ना वहां से कि मे बी दिस इज समथिंग दैट आई फाइंड इंटरेस्टिंग.
Okay.
आई मेड दिस थिंग ऑनलाइन.
Enlightenment types.
हाँ, कह सकते हो एनलाइटनमेंट एक्चुअली. तो आई देन अप्लाई टू मोर कॉम्पिटिशन्स विद इटरेटेड आइडियाज. तो मैंने पहले सोचा फिर कि मैं इसे ऑनलाइन बनाता हूँ. ऑनलाइन जब बनाया मैं सेकंड थर्ड प्राइज जीतने लग गया. फिर मैंने फर्दर इटरेशंस किए तो मैं बड़े बड़े बिजनेस प्लान कॉम्पिटिशन्स जीतने लग गया. सो दैट गिव मी अ लॉट ऑफ मोटिवेशन. मैं बिजनेस प्लान जीतने के लिए फिर एजुकेशन एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप में आई स्टार्टेड टू डू द ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज ऑन edX.org एंड Coursera एटसेट्रा. तो मैं और कॉम्पिटिशन जीतने लग गया. सो बाय द थर्ड ईयर सडनली अगेन दैट एनलाइटनमेंट स्ट्रक मी कि मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ. ना मेरे पेरेंट्स ने बोला है मुझे करने, ना मेरे टीचर्स ने बोला है. दिस इज द ओनली थिंग दैट आई एम डूइंग फॉर माई सेल्फ विच आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन. आई एम डूइंग डिसेंटली वेल, सो प्रॉब्ली आई हैव एबिलिटी, एंड इफ आई डू दिस आई विल क्रिएट अ यूनिक आइडेंटिटी फॉर माई सेल्फ. तो ये सोचकर मेरे माइंड में तब आने लग गया कि आई शुड स्टार्ट अ स्टार्टअप, it should provide career guidance that way.
Correct. So, when you finally decided this is going to be the vision of Pro Bano, क्या वो major, if I may ask, 3 challenges, because you were in your early 20s, you did not have a job, you just stepped into entrepreneurial world. वो क्या challenges थे जो आपको लगता है कि मतलब याद दिलाते हैं वो शुरू की जर्नी कितनी टफ रही होगी? तो any 3 or maybe 2 challenges that you can share.
एक पैसे की कमी तो मतलब फीचर था मेरे फर्स्ट 2-3 इयर्स ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का. मेन फीचर था पैसे की कमी. मतलब उसके लिए क्या क्या नहीं किया मैंने. तो ये बस में चढ़ने वाला एक बता दिया, तो बस में उसका एक एक्सटेंशन बताता हूँ, ये भी मैं बहुत जगह बोलता हूँ. तो मतलब मैंने रियलाइज किया यार ये नहीं करना है लाइफ में मुझे. तो देयर वाज दिस वन नाइट जब मैं ट्यूशन पढ़ा के वापस आ रहा था. तो इट वॉज माई फर्स्ट मंथ ऑफ टीचिंग होम ट्यूशन. सो और ना वहाँ तक मुझे समझ में आ गया था. मतलब मैंने होम ट्यूशन पढ़ाना भी इसलिए शुरू किया था बिकॉज आई न्यू कि भाई मनी हैज़ रन आउट. अब मैं भूखा रह के तो जिंदा ही नहीं रह पाऊंगा. फिर तो मतलब जिंदा इंसान ही बिजनेस कर सकता है पॉसिबली. सो आई टुक अप होम ट्यूशंस. अब क्योंकि पहले महीने एडवांस में तो पैसा मिलेगा नहीं, तो आई स्टिल हैड नो मनी. अब मैं एक एनजीओ में फ्री करियर काउंसलिंग करके बस पकड़ के एक दूसरे घर में ये करके होम ट्यूशन करके मैं वापस आ रहा हूँ घर. रात के 10 बज चुके हैं. नाउ देयर इज नो क्राउडेड बस एज सच, तो आपको खाली बस में ही चढ़ना पड़ेगा. तो अब मैं भी थोड़ा डर सा गया था. अनजानी शहर है बैंगलोर मेरे लिए. बट इवन दो माई एल्डर ब्रदर यूज्ड टू लिव देयर, बट आई डिड स्टिल फील अ सेंस ऑफ फियर. तो मैं जल्दी से बस पकड़ने की ताक में था. एक बस आई, उसमें ड्राइवर बैठा है, कंडक्टर नहीं है. वही मैंने अपने बुद्धि लगाई बहुत तेज, पीछे भागने की कोशिश की, ड्राइवर ने एकदम से मुझे स्पॉट करके बोला कि आप टिकट खरीदिए। तो मैंने मतलब थैंकफुली आई हैड इनफ मनी टू एटलीस्ट बाय अ टिकट टू होम। ऑफ कोर्स आई वाज थिंकिंग ऑफ सेविंग दैट मनी। टिकट खरीद ही लिया तो फ्रंट सीट पे बैठ जाते, फ्रंट सीट पे बैठ गए। बीच रास्ते में बस रुकी, देयर आर टू मेन हु हरिडली इन सिविलियन ड्रेस स्टार्ट चेकिंग पीपल्स टिकट्स। मेरे पास था थैंकफुली, मैंने दिखा दिया। उसमें से एक बंदा मेरे बगल में बैठ गया। तो मैंने बोला कि फर्ज कीजिए अगर किसी के पास टिकट नहीं होता तो क्या करते। तो ही टोल्ड मी समथिंग कि 500 रुपये लेते आपसे फाइन या फिर आपको जेल भेज देते एक रात के लिए। मुझे लगा कि यार इतनी सी बात के लिए जेल, और 500 रुपये थे नहीं, मतलब एट अ टाइम मेरे पास नहीं थे 500 रुपये। तो मेरे को लगा यार ये तो मतलब अब या तो भैया को बताना पड़ेगा, पापा को बताना पड़ेगा, ऐसा नहीं दे नहीं सकते, मतलब दे तो उससे ज़्यादा भी सकते हैं बहुत। बट द इशू वॉज कि उन्हें लगेगा क्या कर रहे हैं, ये तो कोई स्टार्टअप नहीं है। तो ऑफकोर्स इफ दिस एवर हैपन्स दिल पुल मी बैक। सो आई वॉज लाइक कि नहीं यार ये तो नहीं करना फ्यूचर में मुझे। सो आफ्टर दैट आई थिंक आई बिकेम अ लिटिल मोर डिटरमाइंड इन माई जर्नी। उससे पहले मैं हल्का सा मे बी आई वॉज डूइंग थिंग्स अ लिटिल स्लोअर एंड स्टफ। एक वो चैलेंज था, एक वो 1.5 लाख रुपए वाला चैलेंज था, क्योंकि उस टाइम पे
सैलरीज देनी होंगी।
सैलरीज तो ज़्यादा नहीं थी बिकॉज वी वर जस्ट 3 of us।
अच्छा,
और बाकी
okay.
दोनों मतलब एक बंदा जस्ट कॉलेज ग्रेजुएट था मेरी तरह, और एक बंदा कॉलेज में था, पार्ट टाइम कर रहा था हमारे साथ, तो उसको सैलरी की जरूरत भी नहीं थी। बट द इशू वॉज कि क्योंकि बाकी खर्चे हो रहे थे ट्रैवल वगैरह के, मतलब 1.5 लाख में तो अब जिंदा ही रह लो, बहुत बड़ी बात है। तो आई हैड अ ह्यूज लोन ऑन मी एट दैट टाइम। ऑफ कोर्स इट सीम लाइक अ ह्यूज लोन, आज भी ह्यूज लोन ही होगा, बट स्टिल नाउ थैंकफुली आई कैन एटलीस्ट पे इट ऑफ। मतलब 4.5 समथिंग लाख का लोन था मेरे ऊपर फ्रॉम डिफरेंट सोर्सेज। सो दैट फेल्ट अ लॉट ऑफ प्रेशर। आज शायद से मैं उससे बहुत बड़ा लोन भी ले लूँ जो मेरी चुकाने की हिम्मत रहे ना रहे, मैं उतना प्रेशर नहीं लेता। लोन लेने की आदत नहीं थी, तो इसलिए थोड़ा दैट प्रेशर आई विल से वाज अ फीचर ऑफ द जर्नी। एंड I think the third major step for me was the acquisition.
Okay.
I would say, it was interesting. It's a different kind of thing. You never really consider that before it actually comes to you. And it's a major career decision for you as well, how you want to take your vision forward, because I'm still doing career counseling only. It's just that.
So in 2022, Top Rankers acquired Pro Bono.
Yeah.
Before that, in I think past 4.5 years, how many times did you go for fundraising and how many times did you get rejected?
A lot, I would say. So fundraising, I got rejected a lot. If I started to count the emails, it would be decent 200, 300, if not more. So I went for a full blown.
Oh my God, 200, 300 times?
Yeah, easily.
Okay.
Probably more than that, I would say.
So just before it got acquired, you went to KBC. You were on the hot seat, thankfully, luckily. Did Pro Bono get any advantage of you sitting over there? And I know that Amitabh Bachchan did play that psychometric test and everything, but that's of course on screen. My question is that if you look at the company, if you look at the revenue, what change did happen in those numbers in your revenue after that particular episode?
So I won't say how, I won't be able to judge how it directly contributed to revenue, but I'll give you my sense. So when I went to the hot seat, my whole thought process was, why I went to KBC was also because of I wanted to really talk about my initiative. I was not confident that they'll talk so directly about Pro Bono, because my thought was that I'll say I'm Aditya Bose, I'm a career guide and an entrepreneur. If people like how I talk and how I play the game, they'll search for me on Google and then they'll find out what I do. So there were like 2-3 steps in the middle, which I had
thought. So you had all of this plan in mind before applying for KBC?
Of course. I knew that I'm not a 1 crore candidate, and it very conclusively got proven also.
So smartly you played it like smart marketing gimmick. I can say that.
Yeah, you can say that.
Planned marketing gimmick.
Yeah, of course luck supported me a lot, but I did play it like that. So when I went there, now Amitabh sir decides to take the psychometric test. So that was of course amazing. On that day, my app, when the episode got telecasted, I got 10,000 downloads. So that was one major victory. Like people knew more about Pro Bono now because of KBC. And it also became and has stayed a permanent marker on my CV. So whenever people introduce me, one of the top 2-3 pointers they use is, this guy has gone to KBC.
Okay.
So even though I did not win that big an amount, I think that's a feature and how I got my startup, integrated in the program.
So your startup back then got a little more publicized.
Absolutely.
And second, it was kind of a growth for you yourself.
Yeah, and I think it changes your image. So whenever I step into a room, when I want to conduct a meeting, when I want to sell something, people view me in a very different light as compared to what they used to view me as. And even some of my clients, some of my clients who never said that I was so intelligent all the time. Now, the moment I returned from KBC, they are like, no, Aditya is very intelligent guy. that way.
I think it reminds me of Ishan Avasthi from Tare Zameen Par.
After that painting thing got done, no?
Exactly. Well, so Pro Bono was more into counseling the rural India students, while now Top Rankers, once Pro Bono got acquired by Top Rankers, it is more into training the students who are at the urban front. So क्या differences हैं? आपने क्या feel किया कि यहाँ पे it is easier to counsel them? Are they more receptive towards career counseling, or the rural ones were more receptive?
I think, to be really honest with you, I think in the urban areas, people, you know, who come to take counseling are more receptive, because in rural areas, more or less, it is as an initiative taken by a corporate
Government
social,
or
or a government body, or a corporate social responsibility initiative. So the students, even before they realize the need for it, somebody comes to them and gives it to them. Now, of course, there's a mix, you know, some people will feel entitled, some people will genuinely lap it up. Mostly they lap it up. But they did not know the need for it, because, you know, they don't have these evolved discussions probably in their society, because, you know, a kind of schooling they receive. And of course, there is a difference, you know, we have to acknowledge there is a difference, and it has to get better over time. So in the urban areas, you know, because there is established need in the parents, you know, who come to us, the students are a lot more receptive. But even in the rural areas, you know, once we start giving them career counseling, I would say they start to understand the need for it. That it's like, you know, how Steve Jobs introduced the personal computing revolution. That people did not know the need for it, but once it came to their homes, they understood that, okay, I needed this all the time, but I could not imagine that I needed
Correct.
this. That it will make my life better in such a way.
So in the same line of interest, one, I want to know that how can we instill, or as a career coach, how can you instill that this is a career that a student can take up? Because the first thing that comes to our mind is probably engineering, medical, now with a little bit of more awareness around law as a career, creativity, this is there. But I'm sure किसी भी बच्चे का ये dream नहीं होता होगा कि मेरे को बड़े होके career counselor बनना है. So as a career coach, how will you instill that into students, and वो कैसे चीज़ जज करेंगे?
So yeah, I think career counseling as a career option is not very well considered among the society, and there's a reason for that, right? Because most people don't think career counseling is a must-have. They think it is a nice to have. When they have it, they understand that it is a must-have. And actually, I'll tell you, you know, when I go to rural areas, or when one of my teammates goes to rural areas, they actually, you know, the kids tell that, sir, ma'am, whoever it is, I want to become like you. Of course, they might not think that I want to become a career counselor, but they like that personality and what they are doing. So I think this is one way to definitely create more awareness around this career option. Plus, I have a very idealistic view around this. So I think that if we create a pan-India initiative, and if we have a lot of students who are demanding it, automatically we'll need to hire and train a lot more career counselors.
But is it promising in terms of financial stability?
Of course it is.
Because you don't find jobs around it. I mean, you won't find career counseling companies coming in your college and absorbing students, right? So how this can create a dream in students' mind that, okay, this is where I should go ahead with?
Yeah, again, I'll just go along the same idealistic view only, and I think it can become true, you know, because I have seen quite a few idealistic views of mine becoming true over the course of time. That when, you know, in college placements, earlier in engineering college placements, I don't think there were as many companies coming into engineering college to hire teachers for IIT JEE preparation. I think it's now much more than earlier. So that way, I think more and more time as it progresses, if the demand for career counseling is higher, and if more people are enrolling, then the college placements and everything will accordingly take place, that, you know, it will become a very high average income industry. I think that's what you're essentially
Correct.
saying.
Yes.
That, you know, let's say if we compare fine arts and computer science engineer as a career, every company has some
course.
computer engineers, but every company does not need a painter or a sculptor. So that way, the placements, of course, at a computer science department will be much better in terms of how many companies are coming and what's the average income. But here, somebody who is doing really well can create a separate career out of it. I think right now, career counseling is that, and there is a very good possibility, because it's an academic position, to shift it into that computer science paradigm.
So as a career coach, if I may ask that, if I want to become an engineer, I already know about it. I'm already dreaming of it. That's already there in me. Or maybe a similar career, a more common career. ऐसे कौन से traits हैं या ऐसे कौन से attributes हैं जो आपको लगता है कि अगर यार ये दिखाई दे रहा है ना, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप बहुत बढ़िया पब्लिक स्पीकिंग करते हो, यू हैव गॉट गुड कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स, एनीथिंग ऑफ दैट सॉर्ट, ये दिखने लग जाए तो करियर काउंसलिंग भी एक ऑप्शन की तरह कंसिडर किया जा सकता है. क्योंकि अगर डायरेक्टली नहीं सही तो आई एम श्योर इनडायरेक्ट वे कैन बी देयर. सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक दोज एस्पेक्ट्स दैट यू वुड लाइक टू शेयर टू योर स्टूडेंट्स दैट ये देखो अपने अंदर एंड देन यू कैन थिंक ऑफ करियर काउंसलिंग और मे बी बिकमिंग अ करियर काउंसलर एज अ ड्रीम करियर?
I think as of now, क्योंकि वही, of course, I'm following an idealistic view, but if I have to make it true, or if any one of us has to contribute to making it true, we have to also follow some practicality. Practicality dictates कि जितना कम barrier to entry रखा जाए किसी भी career option में train होने के लिए, उतना easily आप उस career option को as an option consider करने लगते हो.
Correct.
So I think what we can really need in a candidate for becoming a career counselor is good communication skills and keenness to learn. Communication is very visible. Keenness to learn is something that you have to judge over a period of time. So it's a hard skill to, I would say, interview for or to look for. It requires a bit of time to judge. And eventually, we can have courses for it. जैसे अभी ना कोई formalized course नहीं है. There's no like Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science in career counseling. There are, of course, psychology degrees which sometimes are mapped to career counseling, but it's mostly a failure. I'll tell you why. Because जिसको नहीं बनना career counselor, वो career options की जानकारी नहीं इकट्ठा करता है. And as it is, there are a lot of people with psychology degrees who are also not that aware about psychology or who are not that knowledgeable about psychology. Aware तो है ही. But I think with, as career counseling becomes more of an industry, probably degrees will come for it. Probably, more psychology degree pursuants will come up, who will want to map themselves.
So let's say even if the degree comes up, let's say, see, because awareness and people accepting it will take time.
Will take time.
So let's say a student agrees, everything is good, okay, I want to become a career counselor in future or whatever. Parents नहीं मान रहे क्योंकि again it's a career which will require stability in terms of finances, in terms of having a secured job, all of that. So फिर parents को क्या बोलना चाहिए आपके हिसाब से? उस बच्चे को जाके parent को ऐसा क्या बोलना चाहिए जिससे उनको भी शांति रहे, and क्योंकि you have been there and you know how you might have done it. So what are your tips that you want to give to any parent right now?
So for a parent, I would say that if a child comes to you, and I think this applies for all careers, and if the child says that I want to become something which you don't know of course, the child might fail. That's a given. But the first reaction should not be to discourage the child. And that can apply to any career option, footballer, gamer, streamer or something. Now, of course, you have to check whether the child is working hard in that field, whether it is an industry, however small it is, and whether there are jobs available in it. So some research is required on the part of a parent. Plus, I would always suggest as a career counselor that come to us. It's not like...
Definitely.
It's not like, so I can't treat my mother medically. However much I can read about it, I can't treat my mother because I don't have the license for it. An MBBS...
Very true.
Doctor.
हाँ, तो मतलब अगर बीमार हो तो डॉक्टर के पास जाओ, करियर में कंफ्यूज हो तो आपके पास
करियर काउंसलर के पास हो, बिल्कुल. तो
okay,
parents should come to a career counselor, but they should also do some research on their own. And if it seems like an industry, which in career counseling it is, however small it may be as compared to the bigger industries, they can take some advice from a career counselor. Eventually, they will realize that it is a growing industry. Like अभी जैसे हमारी कंपनी भी ग्रो कर रही है. There are so many companies growing in career counseling. There are so many initiatives being taken by the government which are growing. तो jobs create हो रही है. वो job creation ही industry की growth है. Eventually salaries will also increase. So I think that way they can definitely consider it as a good career option.
Cool. I think we got quite a lot of insights around how a journey of an edtech entrepreneur looked like, and definitely wishing you all the best for your future endeavors as well.
Thank you so much.
Anybody who is looking forward to become a career counselor, and especially the parents of those students already had an advice from you. Here's a quick rapid fire. I'm sure I don't have to tell you what a rapid fire is. Yeah. So a little fun element for all the students who are watching and aspiring to become a career coach like you. So we saw a video of you recently where you were singing. Can you sing 2 lines for us quickly?
Sure. अंदाज अपने देखते हैं आईने में वो और ये भी देखते हैं कोई देखता ना हो.
Oh, that was lovely.
Thank you.
Any embarrassing memory of your college days?
Yeah, a lot. So I'll tell you 2 things. I'm not sure if you're allowed to say this on camera, but I anyways will. So one, okay. So I did this thing for my freshers, and I was asked to do कि मेरे को squat में बैठना है. So imagine this chair is not there. मैं बड़ा ऐसे ही बैठा हूँ. And I have to introduce myself in the voice of Nana Patekar.
Okay.
So now I'm going like, मेरा नाम है आदित्य बोस, मैं फर्स्ट ईयर का एक स्टूडेंट हूँ IIST शिवपुर का, ऐसे करके देन आई हैड टू गो थ्रू द होल एंड आई हैड टू होल्ड माय लेग टिल दैट टाइम, सो दैट वाज अ बिट वियर्ड.
Okay.
Then I had to
I think that's more like on the funnier side.
yeah.
Okay. What is that one thing that you feel you are absolutely pathetic at?
Pathetic at, I think I'm pathetic at reacting quickly to stuff. मेरा presence of mind मुझे बहुत अच्छा नहीं लगता है, so I'm a little absent minded.
Okay. What is your go-to fun?
Go to fun to watch something, you know, on
Please don't tell me it is watching some entrepreneurial videos.
No, not that. That's not fun.
Okay, no offense. Yeah.
Yeah, like that is my job, right? So I
Okay.
have fun with it in a different way, but to plug off or to rather, you know, कैसे बोलते
Shut down
हैं?
your work.
हाँ, right.
Yeah.
So I can watch a web series or maybe
Okay.
go out with my friends.
Where do you spend most of your money?
I think I don't spend a lot, but I spend most of my money on food, I would say.
Okay, so since I know that you're a Bengali,
Yes.
you are from Delhi.
Yes.
You shifted to Bhopal.
Yes.
What is better, Delhi's food or Bhopal's food? Have you tried a lot of places in Bhopal, by the way?
To be honest, no, but I get a feeling that Delhi's food-wise, Delhi is better. As a city, Bhopal I like much more.
Okay. As a Bengali, what is that funniest thing that you've been hearing since your childhood? The cliched, the funniest.
As a Bengali, the cliched thing, of course, you know that
Is
we...
it like, do you eat?
हाँ, फिश वाली वही
Fish and-
फिश वाली बात की. लोग एक्वेरियम छुपाने लग जाते हैं मुझसे, अरे भाई एक्वेरियम से निकाल के गोल्ड फिश थोड़ी ना खाऊंगा मैं तुम्हारी, वो भी कच्ची.
Okay. So, what is that one skill that you want to improve on? You're bad at it, or maybe you just want that the skill should be there in me?
So one skill that I want to learn is playing the guitar, ऐसे randomly. And one skill that I want to improve on is दिमाग लगाना. I think I'm a very action oriented person. मेरे जर्नी में भी मैंने वही देखा और मैं आज भी देख रहा हूँ कि so it's a good thing in a way, but कई बार ना मैं सोचता नहीं हूँ चीज़ें करने से पहले बहुत ज़्यादा, और वो सोच की कमी कई बार थोड़ी सी खल जाती है.
So, finally, what is your go-to fun?
Go to fun. I'd say either hanging out with my friends, going out anywhere. मतलब
But
मुझे
now,
ना-
since you're in Bhopal, I'm sure you don't have your friends here.
I don't have my
So
friends
what do
here,
you
so
do?
I keep traveling, you know, to places where I can meet them. तो हर महीने 2 महीने एक बार कहीं ना कहीं हो ही जाता है. जैसे मैं दिल्ली भी जाता रहता हूँ, तो I have a lot of friends in Delhi. So that keeps happening. And I like to relax also by watching some web series or watching some YouTube comedy videos.
So, thank you, Aditya. I think
Thanks.
that's a wrap. And
Thank you so much.
how was it? How was your experience being as a guest with us on our episode of Better Tomorrow?
It was amazing. I would say the highest budget podcast I have ever been on.
So, thank you for being with us on
Thank
this lovely episode of Better Tomorrow. Here's
Thank
a
you so
small
much.
token from our team to you. Hope you like it. Thank you.
I of course do.
All right. Thank you.
मेरा नाम है आदित्य बोस, मैं फर्स्ट ईयर का एक स्टूडेंट हूँ IIST शिवपुर का.